Welcome to episode 154
of No Room for Phonies. Open up, talk more, but no one really shows men how to do that well.
So men aren't really resistant, they're just often unsure of what's expected.
Exactly. This isn't about going back to stoic silence, and it's not about performative vulnerability either. We'll explain what that is later.
It's about integration, talking as one skill, not the whole identity.
Yeah. Today we're unpacking why men go quiet, how bids for connection often show up subtly, and what strength actually looks like in real relationships.
So let's get into it. This is called Real Men Talk.
Yeah. So the phrase real men don't cry, or boys don't cry, but that kind of masculine training and upbringing that has come up through the centuries is where I kind of took the term real men don't talk and kind of or flipped it around to say real men do talk.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
because men are it's kind of ironic, men are urged to open up, but then
there's not any models of how to do that.
Not a lot of men haven't had very many models. My father was a little different. I had a lot of conversations and watched him having deep conversations with all sorts of people. But
we have to reject these false binaries of the Marlboro cowboy and
that famous ad from the 70s of the cowboy that, on the horse.
And that 1950s kind of certainty.
Yeah. And the red pill bravado, red pill coming from movements, some men's movements now where it's all about reclaiming what we've lost because of feminism, blah, blah, blah.
And so men are kind of disoriented, not deficient.
No, I would say we still all have the skill. It's just, it's been confused.
People just don't know what is expected of them in those kinds of situations.
So there are the 3 Ps of manhood, but there's different models that have been kind of used throughout time.
Yeah, I found this very interesting.
Yeah, so evolutionary, or what people would say traditional men, are
to provide financial and material support, to protect or ensure the safety and security of their wife and family, and to procreate, to contribute to legacy and family line.
Yeah. So I'm in lots of different men's groups online, and some of them are very much like, men get back to being dads and protecting. I just saw one. There's a pastor in the States who said that stay-at-home dads are sinful.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, that it's a sin because you're not working and providing for your
family
in the Lord's name.
Well, that's how my dad felt, right?
Yeah.
So then there's the Steve Harvey's kind of 3 Ps, the relationship focused, to profess, to openly declare love and commitment, to provide, to give resources and support, and to protect, to shield, and to keep safe.
That has a lot more of a positive.
Yes. Oh, very much. And it's not as much pressure.
No.
Like providing and procreating in like to ensure something, to shield is a lot different than to ensure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so that's kind of come down.
And then there's 3 Ps of fatherhood. Some of them overlap again. Supplying needs, ensuring safety, and being a stable, lasting presence. And the last...
So it's provider, protector, and permanence.
But permanence is the area in the last... Well, since the Industrial Revolution began, that men and fathers have not been able to necessarily be stable and be around all the time because of the demands of work. Right. And there have been, and then even dads who have been around tune out because of sports and television or other, like all
Phones.
sorts of reasons. And now it's the scrolling. So it's very easy to not be a present.
Yeah.
To have a lasting.
And then the personal fulfillment 3 Ps are passion, engaging in exciting activities, purpose, having meaningful pursuits and pay, feeling that one's contributions matter and not just money.
No, exactly.
So that's the kind of the most healthy
I think
for
so.
men.
Yeah.
That's the bottom one.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, my notes are covered here. So we need to think of talking as only one skill of masculinity, not the whole identity. So the quiet man that doesn't talk, that's not his identity. It's just one of the skills that perhaps isn't developed. So if we think of talking as a corrective tool, then it feels like you're being submitted to therapy because
Right.
you have to talk and unburden. However, if it's a skill amongst other skills like agency, restraint, and being responsible, then it has a more wholesome
Right. And
meaning to it.
talking is not trauma dumping or performative vulnerability, which
So performative vulnerability is, for example, when this often does happen in men's groups where they start to compete with each other to be who's the most vulnerable. Did I share enough? And I would see this at church groups
right.
where the men would like be performing to see, who could pray the most earnestly or who could share the
Right.
most shocking prayer request.
Right,
So
okay.
that's performative vulnerability.
And it's also it's not endless emotional processing
Yeah,
either.
either. No. So Stoicism is an old
Term.
philosophy.
I've read lots
Yeah.
of books about
on stoicism.
stoicism.
And but there's a too much stoicism is where things go
Right.
toxic, because it's about choking down your emotions, being quiet, and not being vulnerable, because that's showing weakness.
Yeah, the discernment that I've read more about the stoicism that I've read more about is the discernment and the slowing down and the being thoughtful about things, and it's not
And not
really
responding in
it's not really
anger
silence.
No.
And it's not necessarily not being angry, but having a very focused anger on a certain thing that makes sense.
Right.
And I've been reading another book, and the name of it has just left me, but it's something ordinary anyway. And it just talks about the fact that we tend to be down on anger, but
Mhm.
anger is,
It's an ordinary emotion.
yes,
Mhm.
yes. So anyway, you don't just express, you kind of integrate that with your wisdom and your thoughtfulness and all the
Mhm.
other kinds of things that go with it.
Right. So I just wanted to share a little bit of my reflection on things, like my whole life growing up and then in our marriage. I always believed that I was a really open person
Right.
and shared a lot, but it's come to light over the years that when I'm under stress, I regress into my head and I don't share
Right.
and I don't talk with you.
Right. So, I mean, I think that we forget that it is an ordinary part of marriage to have ups and downs.
Mm-hmm.
And that it is an ordinary part of marriage that each of you share, and that the blissfulness of, the honeymoon phase and all those kinds of things that's not really what marriage is all
No,
about.
I mean, it can come and go. Those seasons don't have to be over.
No, but it's normal to have these opportunities when you are not necessarily on the same page and you have to work your way back.
Right. And it's also normal for one or the other person to keep their thoughts and emotions internal for a while
Yes.
as they process it.
Mm.
And it's not necessarily the right thing for the partner to say, okay, I can see you're thinking about something, spit it out.
Well, and I also think, though, that in the end that you can't take care of my emotional well-being and I can't take care of your emotional well-being. And in order to get through something, sometimes you just have to feel your feelings. And for some of us, it's quiet. And for others of us, it might be tears, it might be other things.
Yeah, and saying the story over like several times or in different ways,
trying to process it.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
we have to kind of accept that where we're at.
Mm-hmm. So why have men gone quiet? That's okay.
We did a lot of skating this afternoon, so I'm yawning a little.
So there's been quite a few contributing cultural forces, not only in North America, but around the world. And again, like I said before, father absence is one, and that's physical absence. A lot of single mom homes with kids without dads, and young men not knowing how to share and talk. But also social media, but also whole families where the fathers have checked out, like I already talked about that.
And the social media
it's now several generations of it not being modeled. So,
right,
the young men have not had, but it's been several generations where that hasn't been the case. Social media masculinity, where you think, oh, that's a cool guy, and he's one of the kind, like the Hollywood cowboy that doesn't show any emotions.
I mean, that's why some of these people, some of these younger artists that come out, and kind of their music is has much more depth and feeling. Or it's good to see that for young men, to see these young men with like
wearing their hearts on their sleeves a little bit more.
In a masculine way, but still
absolutely,
like expressing how they're feeling about the world world.
It's like going back to the folk music,
and even some of these 70s. Young artists, you see them like expressing how they're feeling about their own mothers, and their fathers and their lives and their this, actually being vulnerable about themselves. So I think that it's changing a bit, but we do have this incel culture that's framed as kind of self-declared victimhood. I have anxiety, I can't cope, I'm this, I'm that.
No woman is ever going to love me because women are all feminists and hate men. And I can't talk to anybody because I've only ever texted anybody.
I think a person that has a good perspective on that is Scott Galloway. Like if you had an incel child, I would be looking at some of his books.
I can't remember his recent book on manhood or men. If you can look it up while I talk on the next part. So I invite husbands and dads and single men and young men, if you listen to this, to take some insight from Brene Brown, who's done a lot of research on shame. And men's shame is often rooted in fear of being weak or of being seen as weak. So definitely climbing up around any topic that you're struggling with as a man is out of shame of being weak. Fear of being inadequate, not being enough. So men will shut down. And I mean, I do this too. This is just part of the battle with fear and the battle with shame. And then fear of not having an answer or not being able to fix something is a huge shame trigger for men. And then the behaviors from that are
withdrawal and then over functioning,
jumping around trying to do everything,
or silence. And silence often means like, I don't know what to do, not necessarily indifference or whatever.
But women often will take the silence,
of course, because you're ignoring me. We're social. We're more like verbal and like that's how we do things. We talk about
men are
things.
From Venus, women are from Mars. No, whatever.
Scott Galloway wrote the book Notes on Being a Man.
Notes on Being a Man.
So, so Bids for Connection.
So Bids for Connection, that phrase comes from the Gottman Institute, and they are a marriage counseling couple that have done a lot of research into why marriages fail and identifying when a marriage is still salvageable. And they talk about the concept of a bid for connection. And that is when one person reaches out to the other one that they live with or that they love for some type of connection, as small as a nod or a smile or a touch, not necessarily a long conversation. So men have a lot of low volume bids.
And they look like sharing information or ideas, practical stories without emotional labels, asking opinions on concrete matters, or physical presence without explicit conversation. Yeah. So it's often in the doorway, and the emotion may be implicit. Yeah. And if you miss the bid, it kind of reduces the opportunity. The guy is going to they won't come back.
They're not going to try too many more times to put out a bid because, it's either been, so if they share a practical story and they don't get emotional about it, and their partner's like, why aren't you upset about this? Like, how can you just think this is nothing? Well, they don't. As a guy, sometimes I haven't thought about an emotional angle to it. It's just not part of the thing. But I'm just sharing because
I sometimes will say to you,
I just want you to know my story.
Does that bother you? Are you upset? Like I say those things to you. Are you upset about this? Like, what is it that?
And sometimes I am, and sometimes I'm just not. But I'm just telling you because I want to connect with you.
I get it. And if you just listen, listening is an underrated sport. Let's call it that.
That goes both ways.
It does, but I'm just saying, like, listening is one of the most important human interactions that there is. Yeah. If you feel listened to, then you open up.
Mm-hmm. For sure. And then the other thing for, a girlfriend, a wife, a family member is showing interest when the man is talking without upgrading the moment into something else.
Right.
That keeps the door open. So men that have little skill in talking and opening up, they need the people around them to create a safe landing. So this could be a guy-to-guy friend, one guy being maybe more skilled at this than the other guy, or a partner, girlfriend, whatever. So what men often need is neutral acknowledgement, so like a hi, a touch, a handshake.
How's work?
Yeah.
Like just kind of
like it's a connection to open things up. Or like what drives me crazy is talking about sports.
Yeah. Well, it's the same thing as talking about the weather or talking about.
But men often need that window to get started.
And to get warmed up.
Yeah. And what bugs me is I can go a lot faster than a lot of other guys. So, and like, to be honest, I was thinking the other day we were in a coffee shop and there was all these old guys in their 70s talking with each other, and I was like listening in to see if they were talking about anything heavy, deep. I went in and out eavesdropping to the conversation for half an hour, and they were only talking about sports the whole half hour, and it just made me sad that they, it was obvious by their age,
but
some of them could have been widowed, and there was just nothing.
No.
Of that more deeper level,
and you just
kinship or friendship,
right? But
so I have to remember to give permission for people to stay surface level.
Right.
It does drive me crazy.
But you kind of sometimes just need to stay with the offered topic and ask questions without making somebody feel pressured to go deeper.
And sometimes forcing emotional depth shuts things down, or like psychoanalyzing too quickly.
Or analyzing at all.
I can shut down lots of people by psychoanalyzing too early.
But safety does precede depth, and pressure produces retreat.
So again, men talking amongst men, this is
It's so different for women because I mean,
you just start talking.
We just start talking, and
there are groups of men that will just but again, they stay superficial for a long time.
A lot longer.
So the bigger the group, the harder it is for a man to open up and talk and be vulnerable. I remember that bachelor party that I went to for your nephew, and it was like
so many years ago.
I know 30 men that just couldn't talk about anything except work and tractors and cars and sports
and power tools.
Men often open up sideways. So two guys driving in a car will have really deep, meaningful conversations because they don't have to look at each other.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Golf is a perfect because you're sideways. It's different. And the activity is shared first and the conversation comes second. And a lot of guys are comfortable with being companionably silent with each other, and that's fine. And on another occasion, they might open up and talk more.
But the idea that trust grows through the shared presence, not the disclosure, which is the opposite for women.
Yeah.
Really. Our strength, our trust grows through all our intensity in our conversations, not necessarily just being together. I mean, that's part of it, but it's more the opposite, I think.
And when a woman's bid for connection gets spurned by another woman or a man, as in like, I don't want to talk about that, or I don't know how women do it to each other. There's lots of ways that they are mean to each other. But it's that shutting down of the conversation.
Right.
That wounds the woman and that breaks down trust.
Yeah.
So it is time to redefine the real man, and lots of different authors and podcasters are working on it. And of course, all of us are going to hit things correctly, and some of us are going to miss things as well. But I just think it's important to move away from emotional extremes and to just be present with the men in your life and male friends, and stay engaged in some kind of activity instead of disappearing too quickly.
And effort matters more than how good you are.
Yeah, how good you are.
Or how many times. And progress over perfection.
Yeah.
And remaining present when it's easier to withdraw.
So you did some really good research on men's health and how men's have lost.
And the friendship recession facing many modern men. And so there are 10 key reasons why men should talk to and connect with other men.
In recent research that you didn't have here, I can't remember the exact number, but when men are asked who their best friend is, they say their wife. And if they ask, any other person, there's like almost 80% of men have nobody else. Yeah. They don't have a male friend. And that is a huge deficit. It's a big problem.
But I mean, this is just
That's the friendship recession.
Why? The reason. So because it improves mental health and reduces depression. Openly discussing struggles with male friends acts as a buffer against anxiety and depression and loneliness. Yeah. And it prevents loneliness-related health issues like social isolation in men is linked to heart disease, stroke, dementia. Close friendships or bromances increase longevity actually.
Yeah, actually, for sure. Having close male friends, it acts as a stress buster. So regular informal conversations like grabbing a coffee or guys' nights out help lower stress hormones such as cortisol.
Providing a non-judgmental safe space. Other men often provide a unique understanding space to discuss issues like career stress or relationship problems without judgment, and that allows for some vulnerability. Yeah. And I think what got you away from it to some degree is that your male friendships started a lot in church. Yep. And they were more judgmental because that's the tendency, right?
Yeah. Just to go back a little bit to the hormones such as cortisol, there's another hormone that is released in men around companionship. Like when you see the a team win a goal, and they'll pat each other's butts, or they'll jump on each other's on the field, like the players will jump on, but in bars and in sports the guys will be cheering and hugging each other. There's actually a release of a hormone called vasopressin, which is a bonding hormone that brings down cortisol and helps men, and it's different than oxytocin,
right?
And it's in women have it too, but men have this release more.
Interesting.
And if you don't have that opportunity, that's another reason why cortisol stays high.
Interesting. And then the other one is that it relieves pressure on romantic partners. When men share their burdens with friends, they avoid placing too much emotional weight on their romantic partners, and their relationship is healthier.
Mm-hmm.
It encourages better health behaviors. Friendships often lead to better physical health, as men are more likely to exercise, eat better, and monitor their health when they're supported by their peers.
Yeah, I know a lot of guys who have gym buddies and go to the gym. I never have met somebody locally that I can do that with. So
yeah,
it's tricky. Hanging out with other men offers practical problem solving. So the phrase "a problem shared is a problem halved." Talking through issues helps men find practical solutions and gain perspective. I mean, for me, even talking with guys about carpentry and plumbing, if I'm talking with the right guys, I have actually learned things that help me solve something like that.
So, and it also kind of redefines masculinity and reduces risk-taking. Like, close connections challenge the strong, silent type stereotype, encouraging some more emotional regulation over destructive and risk-taking behavior.
That poster that I have in my office about freedom to feel, with all the emotions listed, actually all the male coworkers that I have seen the poster, and about four of them I've said, or two of them I've said, so where are you on the chart today?
Yeah.
And it's been interesting when they open up and talk about it. Yeah.
Boost career and personal success. Male friendships provide accountability, networking, and encouragement to reach personal and professional goals. And then it just builds emotional intelligence. Regular honest conversations with other men improves emotional skills, allowing men to better understand themselves and those around them. A real man is a subjective concept, but generally refers to someone embodying positive traits like responsibility, integrity, emotional warmth, emotional maturity, controlling emotions, not being ruled by them, purpose-driven action, respect for self and others, often contrasted with shallow stereotypes.
Yeah. And all of these positive traits, if taken too much to the nth degree, become the toxic masculinity.
Right. So key characteristics including standing for values, showing kindness, being a reliable provider and protector, having self-control, and fostering healthy relationships through honesty, support, and commitment. So, and then there's all these...
The core characteristics of the healthy male.
Yeah.
Purpose and integrity, knows his purpose and acts with direction and stays true to his inner compass.
And emotional control, responsibility, accountability, respectfulness, self-assured, confident in themselves, not needing all this external validation.
Yeah. I think online the respectfulness has disappeared because of the freedom to spout and troll. Like, there's so much of not valuing others' opinions and not listening to others and or their partners, and not empowering others instead of just the takedown. And then of course with some of our government, but many government leaders and public figures not having any of these characteristics.
Exactly. And them being mostly men.
Yes. And then that gives permission to young men to say, hey, I want to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in relationships, prioritizing your partner, showing affection, being supportive, being honest and committed, and not being defined by materialism, excessive drinking, or the number of partners.
Yeah, or purchasing big vehicles or being tough.
And having the strength being in the character, not just the physical power. You can be both strong and gentle. So episode, so maybe throughout this episode, we've talked about the fact that maybe being a real man isn't about silence, and it's not about oversharing either.
It's about staying present, especially when disappearing would be easier.
For partners, what's one small bid you could acknowledge this week without upgrading it into a therapy session? Funny.
And for the men, where do you tend to go quiet, and who feels it first?
If this conversation felt grounded or helpful, hit like.
And subscribe. We're building conversations that are steady, practical, and real.
Because there's already enough noise out there.
And here,
There's no room for phonies.
good night.
No, not quite good night. We want episode 155 is going to be focused on men's health.
Right.
So
We'll stay focused
on the topic of men
on the men.
for
Yes.
February, because we love our men.
I'm glad you do.
Thanks for joining us on No Room for Phonies.